Well, I don't know what any of this does anymore, man. Whatever. Uh, I was all emboldened to come on here and say something real quick, and I just really, yeah. Hello. My name is Terrard Robinson. I am a 40-year-old black queer man currently residing in Oklahoma City. And I'm on the verge of something, I think. Um, there is a lot of emptiness that I've had to deal with, a lot of loneliness that I've had to deal with. And so, as a result of all of that, I've kind of, I've just been really going through a lot of interesting things. Um, Anybody who is a follower or who's been watching my content and actually likes it, um, thank you for that. I think what ends up happening over time is this particular matrix system cultivates something like like the reverse of not crowd surfing. Um, what am I trying to say? I think that in this iteration of how automated our systems are becoming, who is that? Hi there. Um, I think that there is something that is the opposite. Hello. That is the opposite of what's the term where people all group up together to abuse or like harass someone. It's like crowd bombing or something like that. I can't think of what it is right now. But I feel like that happens to those of us who really have amazing innovative ideas. I think that over time part of what is so dangerous about the corporatocracy is the fact that they have the ability to automate ostracizing people. Hello. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and just talk about the fact that I feel like for a lot of intents and purposes that can happen to people who feel like they are really creative, and that is okay. Um what else was I going to say? Um my name is Terrard Robinson. I live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Seems like we're getting some people on here. I had about 10, now I got about 5. Anyway, um I wanted to just come on here. I know that people, I don't want to be too boring, right? I don't want to be too I want to keep your interest, but sometimes I feel like I have something really important to say, and then when I get on here, it just goes away. But I do want to talk about the things that I've been working on, and one of those things has been a television show idea that I know in the current iteration of DC Studios and DC Comics, they're not ready for this. And it's really unfortunate because it's something that I think could really help America right now. I'm working on and have developed a television show called Calvin Ellis, and it is based. I'm good, man. Thank you so much for asking. Peace to you. Um, and it's about a character that was created by DC Comics by the name of Calvin Ellis. Calvin Ellis is a variant of the Superman character, and I was inspired to write the show because of two things. Number one, because I love Superman, and I'm talking about me, the little boy, like the little boy me, who wasn't marred by any narratives of racism or hypersensitivity or a lack of compassion, that kind of thing. Um, and two, because I wanted Superman to be black, and I know that those things could be seen as, and not that I wanted him to be black, but I wanted to be able to see a live action version of Superman that would be accepted and wouldn't and this is the reason why. Now, this is going to be a little bit of spoilers because I'm going to be talking about the new Superman movie that just came out. I went and saw it. I'll say about 3 weeks or so ago, and it was great. But there is something about this lack of acknowledgement of Superman not seeing himself as white. And Superman is white. I call it I call it customer facing. Superman is white passing. And I think that he's aware of it, but I think that he is only aware of it when he is Superman. When he is Clark Kent, he is, and I used to hear and I used to agree with, but it was lazy, Quentin Tarantino's idea in Kill Bill of Superman letting Clark Kent be his indictment of the human race, basically. They say critique, but it's more like an indictment to me. And I think that the character, obviously, that's why I'm really glad Quentin Tarantino ain't touched that damn story. But anyway, let me stop. Um, Part of the reason why I no longer ascribe to that anymore is because Clark Kent wants to be human. I've been obsessed with this story because I really loved how, well, first of all, I really loved how well, I used to really love how Superman would never really get a lot of play. Like, he would never get a lot of attention because he because people can relate more to Batman. And I was always thankful for the portrayals of Dean Cain and Tom Welling. I was a little too young for like the Superboy stuff in the 80s, but I definitely was fond of, never missed an episode on Sunday nights of Lois and Clark. I never missed an episode of Smallville, man, at all. I never, even though I didn't really like Clark snapping Zod's neck, I appreciate the different variants of understanding. I have the ability to appreciate them. And what I realize about this particular iteration of, I think I'm going on a tangent, but what I really am aware of of this iteration of DC Studios and comics is that they are all about risk management right now. They are all about keeping the IP that they currently have up in front of us. Um, they want it to last. I think that they are aware of how there is a fine line between, um, actually, it's not really a fine line for those who are aware of it, but for those, there seems to be a fine line between allowing diversity to be a part of a canon, to be a part of the framework of an IP standard versus monopolizing on it. And I'll be the first one to admit, in my opinion, Marvel is really good at monopolizing on different cultural narratives. And I would say historically that DC has been really safe in that regard. I remember watching Black Lightning, and it just had a sort of certain polishedness to it that just didn't seem authentic. It seemed monolithically black. And then when Naomi was on television, nobody even watched that, and it was really getting good. But because the right people didn't like it, because the right people, not even the right amount, it's not even about quantity anymore. It's about um, a sort of legacy. I think of it the same way people try to make craft cannabis and stuff like that. Like, there is this sort of prestige factor about this that kind of is very. I mean, it is elucidated itself as mildly to abhorrently racist all the time. And so when I was dealing with the grief of my parents, my mother and father passed away back to back in 2023. My mom died the day after my birthday, and my father died 40 days after that. And I was watching a lot of Smallville, and I shout out to the producers and the people at Talkville, because that was really something that was I was watching back to back, and I just started getting really um, inspired by different Gen Alpha guys that I love watching the kids. I love watching um, the young guys do their thing. Um, and there are these two individuals that I started watching a lot of, a young girl by the name of Quinlan Blackwell and a young man by the name of Larray. They are best friends. They are so funny, um, very quick-witted. You know, these kids today are just, they don't have to learn a lot of the lessons that we had to learn as millennials, and still reaping the, you know, having to deal with the struggles of what our previous people left us. But I'm getting off a topic. I was inspired to write Calvin Ellis because I kind of figured that with the Ta-Nehisi Coates um, movie that apparently was just put on the back burner and turned off because it was too woke, which is just so disrespectful. But anyway. And then, you know, I was hearing about this project with Michael B. Jordan. He was apparently doing something with the Val Zod character. I just never, I don't think that anybody could write or want to write a Black Superman television show. So what I decided was I could do this. I could create a 3-episode pilot event that would frame itself as a movie, so that you could technically have, and not just based on the technicality, it would be a movie, and you wouldn't call it made for TV because it's on streaming, you know, so it's a completely different aesthetic, dynamic, motif, whatever you want to call it. But you have this made for TV movie about a black Superman, which is what I've written, and then you allow the next few episodes to be the continuation of that. So you can kill two birds with one stone. You can create a movie that serves as a pilot, which serves as both like a sort of like Smallville for this character. And then the remaining episodes can be the continuation of the story of that season. I've done that 7 times for this character. I created an entire arc that involved, and what's so crazy is that I've involved so many of my faves from music and television, but I built the show around a Michael Jackson song, a Prince song, and a Whitney Houston song. The first episode is called Man in the Mirror. It's about Calvin Ellis as a lawyer. The second episode is called Controversy, and it's about Calvin Ellis as, you know, Superman, because we find out that he is Superman. And then episode 3 is when he is asked to become vice president. Now, the story of Calvin Ellis is written. It's been registered. I've sent it to several people. I don't expect them to read it. I just expect them to have it because I have that story registered for 4 years. And it's a really good story. And I'm going to leave that at that. So that's what I'm working on. I've been working on a television show or 5 right now because I've been wanting to. I've always loved TV. I just stopped watching it, especially after my mom sat in front of it for years until she died. It just kind of gave me a bad taste. But I think that in hindsight, it was just showing me the kind of what could be present and available for people at their lowest times. I'm also working on a line of cake bars called REUParations. The www.reuparations.com website situation is handled and up. And I'm really excited about that. I just finalized recipes for it. I have 6 different flavors that I'm working on. And I'm working on getting funding because I'm currently unemployed. And so I really could use the support. You know, I really could use the help because a while ago, the universe and I had a conversation very, very in my face. And I asked the universe, because I was working at Groupon at the time, not Groupon, same difference. It's all corporate bullshit. But I was working at Carvana at the time, and I was being really mistreated at the job. That was right around the time right after our current president won the election. So there was just a lot of passive abuse in the form of, aggression, microaggressions, micro-invalidations, people ganging up on others at work and sort of doing passive bullying. And I just got to the point where, yeah, I was traveling a lot, which was kind of cool. And I was making relatively good money, but I was not being treated fairly, you know? So I asked the universe if I quit this job, or if not if I quit the job, because I didn't quit the job, I was fired. But I needed unemployment. And so to make a long story short, it worked out in a way where the universe said that, it allowed me to realize that I needed to let this job go. For anybody out there working a corporate job, for anybody out there that is really doing what they can to make ends meet, man, for anybody out there, bro, oh God, let me just get fucking real. For anybody out there that's just working hard, man. Shout out if you in the chat right now, the three people that are being kind enough to watch me in chat right now, bro. If y'all are working hard, man, let me know where y'all from and where y'all at. But I had to let that go because the visions and the dreams that I want for my family and my friends, fuck that. But don't, they don't share my content. They don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a damn. But for all the people that are out there supporting their friends and giving a damn, you are at the right place, and I appreciate you very much. I thank you very much for watching. Um, and with the cakes that I'm making, I got a strawberry cake recipe that my grandma made, a cornbread cake recipe that's got honey and bacon in it, bro. I got a lot of stuff going on. So there's that. I'm also bringing back my podcast later on this fall. It'll probably be later on in the fall when I do some editing. Um, I'm thinking that I might not. The first two seasons of the podcast were about 16 episodes long. I think that this one will probably be 8, just because I want to wrap it up. Like, I like doing the podcast, but I'm gonna tell y'all something, man, and this is on God. I keep saying that. I'm 40 years old, still saying on God like I'm 13. I love it. It keeps you young, bitch. Anyway, my whole thing is, when you lose your parents, bro, when you not even lose them, because it ain't like I owned them. Gotta stop using that kind of language. When you deal with the deaths of people who helped raise you, and mind you, I'm the oldest, right? It took a toll on me. And I didn't get a lot of stuff situated in the flesh before they left, and so that just really hit my ego in a way. And I didn't really have the family support that I thought I would have. I am now the black sheep of this iteration of my family, proudly. I don't interact with a lot of my family right now because they don't want the full me. You know what I'm saying? People really do be hating the fact that I'm a big black gay dude and don't hate myself. You know what I'm saying? Or that I'm not looking for no damn wife or a church home. Like, it's very rough for me when it comes to family. And then I have those who they're just not aware. I have family who project their hopes and dreams and fears on me. That's what family do. But I also have family that is so defined by their own internal trauma that they don't even have the awareness to give people their due in the line when it's supposed to be. Like, it's so easy to just trade people out in my family based on how they make you feel, and I'm not that type of bitch. I'm just not. So I don't know. I just feel like what I've been dealing with in that regard is just a lot of loneliness, a lot of setting myself apart, and that's what I was getting at. When you are that individual in your family that has the ability to see things multidimensionally, has the ability to see things outside of just a religious lens, outside of just a spiritual lens, just outside of a racial lens or a cultural lens. People do one of three things. They either fuck with you right in the middle, you know what I'm saying? They either fuck with you, they hate on you, or they are afraid of you. Period. It's not, it can't be no other way other than that. And right now I'm at a place in my life where I'm taking responsibility for a lot of the mishandling of relationships that I've done, but I am not no I have sat with relatives. I have sat damn near convinced them not to leave their spouses. I have sat underneath relatives and did their college work for them. I have sat and spent so much of my time alone, not knowing what the fuck I want, but only being available to those who have a task for me. And what I realized was that I was basically becoming what other people want me to be. After you deal with the death of people like my parents, because my parents passed away, you lose part of yourself, and people that have basically been waiting to take advantage of you because your light shines so hard, so deep, so raw. You know what I'm saying? Because of that shit. Then the moment that when they see you down, they will leave you high and dry, bro. They will leave you high and dry. They will leave and not even think nothing of it. Not even think anything of it. And so I realized that growing up and being such a people pleaser, wanting the best for every situation, does not always equate room for everybody. So just because I have that kind of heart doesn't mean that I am attracting people who have that kind of heart. Does not mean that I am cultivating relationships with people who would give me that in return. Because obviously, after 2 years, I haven't heard from one single relative. And mind you, I am an introvert. I do like being at the house. You know, I am accessible though. And none of the people that say that they loved my mother and father really gave a shit about them. And it's showing in how they manifest. It's showing in their lack of manifestation. I guess my thing is that for the past 25, 30 years in my, my journey into adulthood, I'm realizing the amount of times that I have had to show up for people in order for them to show up for me. It is amazing to me the amount of time that I have wasted trying to get people to love me enough to let me be my full self around them. But then the moment that I do let my hair down a little bit, then there's always somebody reminding me that I'm a faggot, or somebody reminding me that I ain't married, or somebody reminding me that I still don't go to church, or somebody reminding me, that I am not enough, right? People only want to help you when you fit into their specific mold. And I realized that I had been doing that for damn near 30 plus years. And I no longer wish to identify or attract those kinds of individuals, which is why I don't have no problem talking to myself damn near at almost 30 minutes on live. I know that there is one person right now watching me and being like, yeah, bro, this bro is all right. And even if there wasn't, I have the kind of self-love now. I got the kind of self-love now where this is just a practice for what is coming up. So all I'm saying, the only reason why I brought all of that up is because at a certain point, you have to realize that, hold on, I don't know if I can smoke on the camera. But anyway, at a certain point, you have to realize that me and my father did not have a great relationship. We had the perfect relationship 1 week before he died, and then he died. We did not have a good relationship. And there are people in my life who, because of their own projection issues, because of their own issues, they will say things to me like, well, you got to forgive him and blah, blah, blah. And in order to live a happy life, you have to forgive him and you have to move on and it's all right and all that kind of stuff. But won't even dare join me in my pain and grief. These are people who still have their parents very wide awake and alive. And those people are people that I'm going to have to forgive. My point is, though, that forgiveness is for everybody. It's people will say you need to forgive yourself for yourself, and yeah, that's true. But the other person needs to accept fault as well. And on top of that, both parties need to accept it. That's what true forgiveness is. Otherwise, I guess what I'm saying is that there's a difference between being apologetic and being sorry. So there's that. The podcast, though, like I said, is going to come back probably around my birthday. It'll probably be a birthday present that I give to myself. Is the continuation of the podcast. I have enough content to complete 8 episodes and just make it a short podcast season. But I had to stop the podcast because my mom and dad died, and that ability to be creative. Like I was editing the podcast weekly, and that was during the week that my mom died. And so when she died, like I thought that I could go back to the gym. I thought that I could keep working on the podcast, y'all. I promise y'all, it was hard. It's still hard to even realize it, like, and say publicly that I haven't been doing the podcast, and I really want to do my podcast. That podcast was sick. My podcast is the business. I'm not a Gen Alpha, so I don't know what slang to use. I am a Generation X millennial hybrid. Okay, so let me say it like this. I know who SpongeBob is, but I'm not on Snapchat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I know what iCarly is, but somebody's gonna have to teach me how to use Twitter, bro. Because I mean, not Twitter, TikTok. Because I didn't give a fuck when it was redone or whatever by Donald Trump ass. But anyway, I'm probably going to do about 8 to 12 episodes of the podcast, maybe not. But then the music. I, historically speaking, have not really been that great at performing my music live or marketing it. But I go by Lumberjack T. I am LMBRJCK_T. And I have a few albums out. I seem to get better with age. Let me just say this real quick. I was doing a lot of heavy smoking. I was doing a lot of heavy weed smoking when I was trying to make these albums. I see my little cake pans. This is how big a REUParations cake is going to be. So it's about the size of an iPhone length, right? And then, it'll have a little dome. These are my cake pans. Gonna start baking soon. But yeah, I've never really been good at marketing, but I have some albums out, and I just recently came out with the EP, How to Become a Black Gay Superhero. Again, I released that a few months before my mother's passing. I never thought. It's just so fucking disgusting, man. My biggest fear, y'all, in life, because of the domestic abuse I dealt with, because of me being a fucking mama's boy and all of that, my biggest fear in life, the type of fear that would make me believe that I would not be able to go on, was me having to deal with the death of my mother, because I had her at such a pedestal. Because when you deal with someone who had the CPTSD, the ADHD, the covert narcissistic ways that my mother had to embody, you end up cultivating a type of relationship with your children where they put you on the pedestal. And there was just some shit that my mama got wrong. That don't mean that she didn't love me, bruh. But there are some things that she got wrong consistently. And I don't know if that's genetic, because I'm starting to see the same shit in me. But One thing I do know is that my mother definitely wanted to be a good mom. And part of the reason why I'm, I don't know what I was talking about. I think I lost my train of thought. I will say, let me just say this, and I think I'm gonna get up off of here. Shout out to everybody who was watching me. Shout out to the people who said what's up. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all, because I'm gonna get up off here in a minute. I got some more business stuff to do. But I'm working on TV shows now. I'm working back on my podcast. I'm working on a baking goods line, and I'm working on music. That's what I was talking about. I'm gonna be working on the new EP soon. Um, I really, excuse me, I really want to work with people. I really want to collaborate. I think that in this world of AI, which I'm not gonna lie, some AI stuff is tight, you know. But I think that what happens for a lot of people who are convinced of this system being the system in order to perpetuate life and livelihood, i.e., the capitalist system that we live in, I see a lot of artists, and I'm not going to name them by name, even though I really want to, but I see a lot of artists downplaying and denigrating people who use AI. And my whole thing is, if you are butthurt and bent out of shape because somebody is making something with AI that's better than you, then you just hating on the fact that you are lacking creativity. AI is not creative. AI is functional, hyper functional, but it is not creative. Okay, it is not autonomously creative. That's where your motherfucking soul come in. Okay. So I just wanted to say that everybody hating on AI, step your pussy up, as T.S. Madison would say. Sorry. Step your pussy up, step your game up, suck a dick, eat some lettuce, take a walk, breathe, write, whatever. But anyway, I'm gonna get up off of here, man, because even though I am in between my destiny, I'm in what's called the underscore of my life. See, here's the thing, and I'm gonna let y'all go. I know how beautiful I am. This is probably the longest video that I've done in a long time, because I've really focused on not giving people too much of myself. And there is a fine line between wanting to relate to people and wanting to suck their energy, honey. And the last thing that I need is your energy in that way. Now, if you want to send me some money, if you want to send a brother some money, a super chat or something like that, I'm cool with it. But I don't want to mislead people, and just simply by taking their too much of their time up, sometimes to me can be seen as being misleading. So I'm gonna leave you with this. I want to make music. I want to be in front of people more. I am 40 years old looking like this. I know how beautiful I am. I know how much of a light I am. I know how many coincidences I have to deal with on a daily basis. I know how in alignment I am. Even when I feel like I'm not, I know now what I'm sent here to do, and that's whatever the hell I want to do. And when it's all said and done, all I want to do is be black, eat my weed, smoke my weed, or whatever I want to do at that time. Because depending on when you ask me, I'm either not smoking weed. Okay, I guess I should say something about that while I have the time. I think that cannabis producers run the risk of feeding into addiction culture in a way that feeds their business, and that's the only way. See, I think that for people who are dealing with a lot of depression, a lot of awareness, a lot of issues in capitalism right now, we turn to cannabis to help decompress, to help disassociate, to help be creative. But I think that what happens is we start to equate that energy, that chemical transference of that plant, of that substance, as the impetus for creation. And it is not. I have been guilty of that. And I think that the perpetuation specifically of if it being ingested in your lungs adds to that. It feeds into a certain kind of delayed gratification. And so, um, that's part of the reason why I want my edible line to be these cakes that I'm making, which you can go to my website, REUParations, REUParations.com. Check me out because we will be out very soon. At the end of the day, I want to help the culture exist. I don't want it to decay. I don't want the wrong people to be at the head of this. And I'm not saying that they are. I'm just saying that as informed as I am, and as much of the Oklahoma cannabis production world that I've been in, there are lots of people who are able to monopolize on controlling their weed, their output, their lab usage, and feeding into the notion of addiction culture. I don't think that edibles do that. So, and if somebody is out there eating edibles all day and getting fucked up, I will say that psilocybin is a different story. But anyway, I'm gonna get up off of here, figure out how to be creative, and forgive myself for all my wrongdoings just because I didn't act the way certain people thought I should. And I want to charge you all to just try to take more responsibility for your lives. Oh, look at that. Anyway, I just charge you all to be more present, be more aware, take more charge of your life. I want to send a couple shout outs to my sister. I want to send a couple shout outs to B. Lynn. I want to send a couple shout outs to Bimbo Winehouse. I want to send a shout out to Miss Angelica Ross. I want to send a shout out to Erica Alexander and Kim Coles. I want to send a shout out to Daily Dose of Internet. I want to send a shout out to who else I'll be watching on YouTube, man. I want to send a shout out to Real Black TV. I want to send a shout out to pretty much anybody in the spiritual world right now doing spiritual stuff. There's a lot of iron sharpening iron I'm seeing. There's a lot of people in differing stages of the awakening process, and the dark night of the soul, and transference and alchemy and all that stuff. And I'm just thankful that there are people who aren't going through that whole conservative backlash period once they start seeing shadow beings and can't really control their appetites and things. It is to hone us. These are what we have to realize is that we are souls inside of a body having an experience, and the moment that you try to control it is the moment that you start experiencing a real kind of insanity, a real kind of cancerous consciousness that is about control. I do want to be in control of how I express my love, but I don't know if I want to be in control of my life anymore, especially when the things that I want pale in comparison to A, what I really want, and B, how I'm going to get it. I always think about the fact that, people used to say, I don't know, but then there's this other notion where people will say to me, I've always had a problem with people that say, I love you more. Like, bitch, no, you don't. You don't even talk to me. You haven't even called me. You don't even know me. You know the little boy. You know the dude in college. You know the stoner that you used to, fuck with and lie to and, tell shit to. Nobody knows me. And so when I hear that phrase, oh, I love you and I love you more, people that know you love you. People that love you know you. And on that note, it's 11:20, my birthday time, and I'm gonna get the hell up out of here. I hope you watched it. Bobby.